Hello guys, this is Real Recaps. In this video, I will talk about a 2016 romantic war film, The Exception. Before we start, I hope you will like and subscribe to the channel. A man wakes up from a nightmare in which he always sees a girl in a lifeless state. Afterward, a woman who had just slept with him apologizes. The man's name is Brandt, a captain in the military. After the woman leaves, he receives a call from headquarters, where General Falkenberg informs him that he is to head the bodyguard for Kaiser Wilhelm II, the former German emperor who now lives in exile in the Netherlands. Although no longer on the throne, the emperor still holds the right to command troops outside of Utrecht. Brandt's primary task is to protect the emperor, but he worries he might not be able to fulfill his duty as preparations for war loom. However, he doesn't object and leaves for the Netherlands at dawn. Meanwhile, the emperor's staff is preparing for Brandt's arrival at his residence. The butler orders his team to get ready for Brandt's arrival, and when Brandt arrives, a new servant named Mieke opens the door for him. He is personally greeted by Colonel Sigurd, the Kaiser's personal aide. Sigurd offers to station Brandt's troops in the stables, but Brandt requests a separate command post around the courtyard. The colonel agrees, instructing that the female staff, including the servants, should not be disturbed. Brandt agrees and looks forward to working with him. The emperor is in the garden enjoying his hobby when his wife, Hermin, informs him of Brandt's arrival and suggests that dinner with him be arranged. She stresses that their approach must be careful if the emperor is to reclaim his throne. Later, Brandt visits Inspector Dietrich of the Gestapo, complaining that the Kaiser's information hasn't been updated. As a result, Brandt is tasked with monitoring the emperor's stance on the current Reich leader, his views on the war, and keeping tabs on all visitors to the house. Brandt is surprised by this assignment and asks Dietrich why it's important. Dietrich explains that British spies have been infiltrating the area and managed to obtain a secret agent's location through radio transmissions, which they consider a threat to the emperor's safety. He emphasizes that Brandt's role is critical, stating that if the emperor is endangered, Brandt will be shot without hesitation. At another point, the emperor and his aides are discussing an invasion plan when Mieke enters with coffee. The emperor, who has never seen her before, engages her in conversation. She happily laughs at her military opinions, then leaves, allowing them to continue. Later, Mieke goes to Brandt's room to deliver a dinner invitation from the emperor. After giving the invitation, the two share a long gaze until Brandt instructs Mieke to undress. In short, Brandt accepts the dinner invitation, and Mieke quickly leaves to change. They meet again at dinner, where Sigurd warns her about what not to say during the meal. The emperor starts a casual conversation about Germany and Adolf Hitler while Mieke serves food and stands at attention. Brandt finds it hard to focus on the emperor as he keeps noticing Mieke stealing glances at him. After dinner, Brandt returns to his room, pours himself some water, and sits down. Suddenly, the lights come on, revealing Mieke waiting just behind him. He asks how she got in, but she remains silent, instructing him to undress as before, and they end up getting intimate again. Afterward, Mieke quickly gets dressed and leaves, though Brandt asks her to stay the night, but she leaves without speaking. The next morning, Sigurd brings Brandt information about British spies in the area. He also conveys Brandt's request to move into the emperor's residence, though the emperor seems uninterested, thinking there are more pressing matters. Soon after, Mieke meets the emperor in the garden, where she gives him a sack of bread to feed the ducks. However, he tells her to feed them herself. As they talk, Brandt appears in the distance, and the emperor immediately asks for his thoughts on the British spies. Brandt reassures him that the emperor is safe. After a brief conversation, the emperor asks Mieke to escort Brandt to his new room at the imperial palace. In the room, the two share their full names, and Mieke warns Brandt not to engage in relationships with other staff members, as it could lead to their dismissal. Brandt isn't concerned and instead asks where her room is. A few days later, Mieke secretly meets Father Hendricks at the church, who expresses concern that the emperor knows about the British spies in the area. The priest asks when Mieke will begin her plan, but she explains it will take longer. He reassures her that he will help her leave the house once her work is completed. After this conversation, Mieke walks home feeling anxious, especially upon seeing a car in front of the church. Back at the Kaiser's house, she goes to her room, oils her gun, and hides it as she hears the doorbell. It's Brandt, who asks if Inspector Dietrich is troubling her. Mieke returns to work, attending to the Emperor, while Sigurd and Brandt have a meeting. Mieke secretly listens in on their conversation until the meeting concludes. When she returns to her room, she is surprised to find Brandt already there, reading a blue-bound book. He admits he regrets how he acted the first time they slept together. Meanwhile, the Emperor's military team tracks the British spies' location in a nearby village and plans to investigate once they have confirmation. Back in Mieke's room, she and Brandt talk after making love. Mieke confesses that she is Jewish, but Brandt is indifferent. They fall asleep, but Brandt wakes up from another nightmare. He prepares to leave and asks Mieke to keep her personal information private. At his command post, Brandt meets with Dietrich, who shares that the British spy's location has been found. However, Dietrich's main reason for approaching Brandt is to inform him that Himmler, an emissary from the SS, will visit the next night. Dietrich asks Brandt to compile a list of all the staff members and only inform the Kaiser about Himmler's arrival. After the meeting, Brandt goes to inform the Kaiser about Himmler's visit, but his wife, Hermin, arrives just before him and says the same. She tells Brandt to leave them alone, and he goes to Sigurd to let him know that the Gestapo will inspect the house before Himmler's arrival. Before Sigurd leaves, Brandt asks if there are any guns in the house and if the maid has cleaned them. Sigurd confirms that the Emperor enjoys shooting and that the butler is in charge of cleaning the weapons. Brandt thanks him and leaves. Hermin follows him and urges him to make a good impression on Himmler, as his visit is crucial for the Emperor's bid to regain the throne. Brandt agrees politely and rushes off. When the Gestapo team arrives, everyone stays out of the way. On the stairs, Mieke encounters Brandt as he leads the team to search the upper floor. She looks at him nervously, remembering the weapons hidden in her room. She carries a sack of duck food for the Emperor, but when he tries to engage her in casual conversation, Mieke is too nervous to respond. Meanwhile, Brandt ordered the Gestapo team to inspect the other rooms while he searched Mieke's. After the inspection, Mieke hurried back to her room, relieved to find that her gun was still in place. Outside, Brandt noticed Mieke hurrying away with a bag. She had gone to the church to meet Father Hendricks, where she informed him that Himmler would arrive at her workplace the following afternoon. Mieke declared she was ready to kill Himmler, but the priest told her that wasn't part of the plan. She instructed him to notify London about her intentions, expressing her desire for revenge for the deaths of her father and husband at the hands of the SS chief. Unbeknownst to them, Brandt had been following Mieke and overheard their conversation from outside the window. Later that evening, Father Hendricks sent a coded message to the British military, but the Emperor's security team arrived and arrested him. A few hours later, Brandt was surprised when Mieke came to his room. She sensed that he was in no mood to be disturbed, but Mieke wanted to leave. However, Brandt stopped her, and they became intimate once again, with Mieke staying in Brandt's room. The following morning, Brandt woke from a nightmare and shared the details of his dream with Mieke. Before she left for her room, Brandt proposed to her, but Mieke immediately refused, saying she wasn't ready. Their conversation was interrupted when someone suddenly entered, surprising them both. They were then taken to the Emperor's study, where Herman confronted them, expressing disgust about their secret relationship. She demanded the Emperor fire Brandt and Mieke immediately, but the Emperor wanted a private conversation with them. Although Herman seemed unhappy with her husband's reaction, she left them alone. The Emperor began by confessing that he had 2 illegitimate children and wasn't ashamed of it, which is why he allowed Brandt and Mieke to continue their service. After meeting with the Emperor, Inspector Sigurd reported that his team had captured Father Hendricks, suspecting him of being a British spy. When Brandt saw the priest, he was alarmed to find him stripped and bloodied, the result of a brutal beating to extract information about the British Army's plans. Hiding his emotions, Brandt praised the inspector's work before leaving the room and smoking a cigarette to calm himself. When Himmler arrived that afternoon, Mieke loaded her gun with bullets, preparing for her act of revenge. Brandt passed by her briefly and gave her a meaningful look just before Himmler's arrival. Mieke, along with the other servants, lined up outside the house to greet him. The Kaiser, Hermin, and their staff formally welcomed Himmler and escorted him to his room. After Himmler's arrival, Brandt took the opportunity to speak privately with Mieke, telling her that the Gestapo had arrested Father Hendricks and was interrogating him. Mieke was shocked to realize that Brandt knew she was a British spy. Brandt then admitted that he had followed her to the church and had seen gun oil in her room. He accused her of using him to betray her country, but Mieke denied it, convincing Brandt to continue with their mission. He told her to leave immediately, but Mieke refused. As dinner approached, the emperor informed his wife that he would soon reclaim the throne and they would return to Berlin, though this information had to remain private for now. Meanwhile, Inspector Dietrich was relaxing alone when Brandt arrived at his apartment. Suddenly, Himmler entered and informed Dietrich that he had told the Kaiser that Hitler had been forced to give up his throne in Berlin. However, this was a lie, as the true intent was to purge the monarchy and its remaining supporters. Himmler invited Brandt and Dietrich to work together to report all information about the house to his office in Berlin. Dietrich eagerly accepted the offer, but Brandt informed Sigurd and tasked him with sharing Himmler's deceitful plan with the Kaiser. Brandt then went to Mieke's room, but she wasn't there. At midnight, Mieke found the emperor in the garden, indulging in his hobby. She was about to deliver a message from Prime Minister Winston Churchill to the emperor when he was taken aback upon discovering that Mieke was the spy. Nervously, Mieke remained silent until she suddenly ran off, screaming for help. Sigurd, Hermann, and Brandt rushed outside, but only Hermann and Sigurd helped the emperor, who had collapsed. Brandt took Mieke inside, and the Gestapo called to inform them that they knew the truth about Mieke. Initially, Mieke wanted to shoot Brandt, but he asked her to trust his next move. Brandt then broadcasted over the intercom that one of the maids was a spy and instructed all the maids not to leave their rooms without permission. He quickly rushed off, pretending to take the emperor to the hospital without Hermann and Sigurd, so he could pick up Mieke, who was waiting near the forest. The emperor, aware of the plan, secretly assisted Mieke in her escape. Their plan almost failed when Inspector Dietrich insisted on inspecting the car Brandt was driving. With no other option, Brandt shot Dietrich and his men, managing to drive Mieke to a safe location before they parted ways. Brandt proposed to Mieke once again, and this time she accepted, though she promised to find him after the war. Brandt then threw Mieke's gun into the lake. Sometime later, Brandt received a brown-bound package from the Red Cross. He opened it and found the book he had been reading in Mieke's room. Shocked and delighted, he flipped through the pages and found Mieke's home address written on the first page. Touched, Brandt called the emperor to share the good news, revealing that he would not be moving to Berlin. Meanwhile, Mieke sat by the lake, waiting for someone. Soon, a woman approached and led her to the chancellor. The end. Thanks for watching.